Yes, it is possible to do short-term homeschooling where you only homeschool for just this year or part of a year if you decide to pull your kids out in the middle. My name is Allison Morrow. I'm the founder and homeschooling coach with goodschooling.net. And I know so many of you have decided, okay, you know what, just for this year, we're going to homeschool. So how do we do that? What exactly do we need to do? Well, at the end of this video, I'm going to link to my How to Homeschool video because that's going to give you all of the basics that everybody needs to think about, regardless of how long they're going to homeschool. But for those of you who are planning to do this short term, there are two special considerations that you need to think about, and those are the things that we're going to talk about in this video. So the first thing that you need to think about is what is going to be necessary in order to transfer your kids back into public school. So before you start homeschooling, make sure you talk to somebody at the administration of your child's school and ask them, when we come back, what do we need to show you and what do we need to do? Because, for example, here in Texas, homeschoolers are not required to record any kind of information about their homeschooling and then later submit it to anybody. We don't have to do that. However, if you want to transfer your child into public school, a lot of those schools ask for a transcript. Well, since we don't have to keep records as homeschoolers, none of us really have those things, right? But if you know that you're going to need it because you're planning on putting your child back in school, then even though it's not one of your state requirements, you know that you're going to have to keep those records. So make sure you know, what is your child going to need to do? Are they going to need to take a standardized test in order to get back in? Important to know, because if you have a young child who's never taken a standardized test, then you're probably going to want to spend some time over this school year practicing how to take a standardized test, because that's a skill that kids need to learn if you're going to expect them to perform well, right? So if you know that your child's going to need to take a standardized test and they've never done that, or they've only taken like one, then spend some time this year. You can get standardized tests, old versions of state, like the Iowa test or the CAT test, all the different things that states use for their testing in the spring. You can get old versions of those to use in your homeschool. So maybe find something that is similar to what your school will use when your child transfers back in, and just practice doing that so that when your child has to do it in order to get back into public school, they know what they're doing. And their results are not going to be tainted by them not understanding how this whole thing works, right? Maybe it means that you need to keep track of actual grades. That's something else. Here in Texas, we don't have to report grades to anybody. Once our kids are in high school, we start tracking that stuff because we're making, high school transcripts. But we don't do that, most of us, for elementary and middle school. But those schools will often require those now. So again, if you know that you need to be keeping grades of some kind, you're not going to want to find that out next July, all of a sudden when you're trying to put your kids in, right? So find those things out now so that you can start doing those even if they're not part of what homeschoolers typically need to do in your state. The second thing you need to think about is what kind of approach you're going to take to homeschooling. Now, when you watch that How to Homeschool video, you'll see that we talk about methodologies. And while it is, I would say, maybe more important for long-term homeschoolers to think about that, it is also really important for you to think about, because the default that a lot of us tend to kind of go to, particularly if you haven't spent a lot of time researching homeschool because it's not something you plan to do for very long, is that we tend to default to just making our home function the same way that public school does, right? We make school at home. So we use the kind of curriculum that they would use in the public schools. And we set up our schedule the same way. And we make school take like 7 hours, even though homeschooling really should not take that long. And we try to emulate things the way that they do in public school. And I know that the reason a lot of families do that is because they think, well, I don't want my kid to get too used to, laying around in their pajamas and only taking like an hour and a half to do school if next year they're going to be back into that system, right? Okay, I understand that, but here's something to consider, okay? When you go on vacation, right, you take a complete break from what your life is usually like. You probably sleep in, you eat food that you wouldn't necessarily normally eat. You do all sorts of things that you normally would not do, right? Because you're on vacation and you want to immerse yourself in the culture of the place that you're at. You want to eat the things that the natives eat, that the locals eat. You want to go to the places they go. You want to see the things that they do. You want to experience that culture, because otherwise, what was the point of leaving home, right? You might as well have just stayed home if you're just going to keep doing the same thing that you always did. Think of this year almost as a vacation year. This is an opportunity that you have that you may never have again. And the benefits that your child can reap from experiencing the full homeschool experience instead of just doing school at home, those benefits can help them when they go back to public school. And when you take this approach of kind of one foot in each camp, yeah, we're homeschooling, but we're making it look as much like conventional school as possible, you're kind of robbing yourself of the full experience and of discovering what your true full homeschool potential is. So instead of making it what's probably going to feel like a very dull and boring year by just doing everything the exact same way that they do in public school, think about how can we make our homeschool experience really responsive to the way our kids are wired? How can we make it exciting? How can we make it like a vacation year where, yes, they're learning. It's not like we're just going to go play at the beach all day like you might do on some vacations, but you're going to do all of the educational stuff that you don't necessarily get a chance to do most of the time, right? The only two skills that kids learn, actually three, the only three skills that kids learn are math skills, writing skills, reading skills, and reasoning skills. But quite frankly, they don't teach those very well in public school anymore. So these three skills are the main ones that they learn in public school. Everything else is just knowledge. It's just information, right? That we apply those math and reading and writing skills to, and those reasoning skills when we're learning them. We apply those skills to history and science and all of these other things. So you could spend this year focusing on those specific skills, really hit the math and the language arts stuff hard, but even if you hit them hard, it really shouldn't take you more than a couple hours every day anyway. And for the rest of your time, you can go to museums and you can watch documentaries and you can read historical fiction and you can watch movies and you can go to local historical, those like historical like landmarks and things that you'll see sometimes when you're driving down the freeway and they'll be like, oh, such and such cemetery over here. Let's go do that. Let's drive down a road and let's go to all of the cool historical spots along the way. Let's make history and science come alive by doing all of these outside the home, outside the box, outside the curriculum type things that your kids would not normally have the opportunity to do. This is a unique opportunity. This little year, whatever or how much time, however many months you end up homeschooling in this short term, just this year period, this could be a unique opportunity, a once in a lifetime opportunity to totally open your hands and say, what can we do that is completely unique for school this year? Yeah, we'll do the math. Yeah, we'll do the reading. Yeah, we'll do the writing. We'll keep up with those skills so that when they go back into public school, they're on par, with their peers. But everything else, how can we make this a year that we're all going to remember fondly and is going to be really enjoyable and fun? Our vacation year. And then, yes, next year we'll go back into public school, back into that system. That's fine. But make this year the best possible homeschooling year that you can make. If you're only going to have one, man, pour everything into making it as exciting and enjoyable and fun and educational as it possibly can be. So I will put that link that should be showing up right here on the screen in just a second if it hasn't yet, that link to how to homeschool. That's going to walk you through things like, curriculum and state laws and record keeping and all that kind of stuff that you're going to have to do as well. But just remember that as a just this year homeschooler, you have a very unique opportunity. Grab it and take advantage of it. I am so excited for you to have your just this year homeschooling experience. And if you need a little bit extra help then look in the description and you will see a link to our Just This Year homeschooling tutorial. We have a whole program. It's very short. You can go through it very quickly for parents who are wanting to homeschool for just a year, and it's going to walk you through all of the like curriculum options and scheduling and things like that can look a little different for Just This Year homeschoolers. That package is very inexpensive, and it is going to make this year much easier for you. All right, thank you so much. I will talk to you guys again soon. Remember, you can homeschool, and good schooling can help. See you guys soon. Take care. Bye.